I think acting white means acting privileged, kind of like you don't have to work for what you get, like you just kind of deserve it for being you, I guess.
And so acting white is more trying to act normal, go with the common flow, not try to stick out. Obviously, acting white has a little bit of a characteristic of acting like entitled above other people, to not necessarily a race, just like for any reason, be it wealth or power, position. I think that also falls under acting white.
I guess there's a lot of stereotypical connotations about acting white versus acting within another ethnicity. I don't know that I can answer that. I don't know what it would be to act white. Maybe act entitled. Like you have whatever you need whenever you want it.
Like a lot of TV shows and like movies, how like some of the girls on those TV shows, they like fit a certain stereotype. So like when you watch them, you say like, oh, that girl's acting white, like on the TV show. It's kind of like we just associate a lot of the famous people with acting like that and like attach that to their race.
I think people just made an image of themselves of what they believe white people look like or act like, and I believe that's where the term came from. Like they made a metaphor of what they think white people are, and that's what they're assuming. That's what they're basing it on.
I think a lot of the times it's really mainly said in social media. It's kind of like derogatory in a sense, you know what I mean? Like nobody wants to be privileged or like think that like they're above everybody else. Like you wanna work for what you earn in your life, and so I feel like that's not something people generally say face to face, maybe unless it's like in an argument or something.
I would say social media, like stuff like Twitter, probably mostly.
I'm gonna say high school girls. I'm sorry, like white girls. I know that's mean to say, but to me when I hear white people or white, I think of white girls.
More in like a casual sense. I don't feel like it's like at work or like in a school classroom necessarily, but just kind of like your everyday, like going to Starbucks. I don't know, that just keeps coming to mind. Or like yeah, just more like everyday things as opposed to like professional settings.
So I think context is everything, and it kind of depends on the scenario. Like if somebody told me that I was acting white, it probably means I'm just dancing. But if somebody from a different race in like in a public high school says stop acting white, it probably comes with a negative connotation, but it definitely doesn't always. But that's probably the scenario that you'll see it the most, is probably in like public high schools, I would imagine. But it doesn't always necessarily have to come with a negative connotation, in my opinion.
I think it would come with more of like a kind of both of a bad connotation, like a good connotation. If like kind of depends who you are, and when like someone says you're acting white, it's kind of like, oh, you're being more like proper, or like in that the way people think like other people aren't, like just kind of more high up on a like pedestal or something like that. But if it's something that I guess it just depends on what you like think about it. I don't know, that's what I would think about. But it could be bad or good, I guess, but yeah, either one.
I think it's just tagged along with just like the whole stereotypical type of jokes and stuff like that. I feel it doesn't have any negative connotation or anything like that, or any positive connotation to that point. It's just one of those words, or just one of those things where it's just like we shouldn't be doing that. Someone shouldn't be like, oh, you're just acting too white or anything like that. You're just being yourself. You know what I'm saying? So
I think lately our society has definitely taken a shift towards giving that term a connotation of white privilege and things like that. But I do think originally it started more as a joke. Like you would see things like the Twitter accounts, like things white people like giving their dogs fake Instagrams, things like that.
Typically when I hear like people saying like you're acting white, it's usually when like you're not speaking like you're speaking proper, or like you're doing something that's not like the like the the trendy way to do something. It's more of like a mom and dad way kind of thing, like if that makes sense, like kind of like when you tuck in your shirt, or like a proper way of acting, people are like, oh, you're acting white, and that's really not how it is, but like it's just you're not acting like anything else, like another like character or culture or like characteristic. So like that would be kind of like that in that way.
I would probably have to say things that like probably would fall into the category. It could be meant as a joke, but maybe would fall again under that category of white privilege. Things like complaining about like your new iPhone that doesn't work the way you want. Things like that. I don't know. That maybe we take for granted, but could fall into that category.
I think that we privilege standardized English, or a very standard form of English. Probably complete sentences, correct grammar, like I mentioned, the subdued personality. Really, I think it's the ability more so to just blend in with a white majority. And I think that can come with many different characteristics, but it's that ability to blend in when you're within a large group of white people.